Hello, welcome to the North Bank Podcast. I'm your host, Holly, and I'm joined by Stef Only. Hello, Stef Only.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. You don't sound as hoarse as I thought you might be. You were at the game today, weren't you? So
Yes, but I think it was such a long journey that my voice has had time to recover, because it was about 3 days travelling either side to get there and back. Oh, do you want a funny story about that? So obviously we go with a supporters club, and we get official supporters club parking because we take a minibus and we park where they want us to park. The police said, due to the Grand National being held at Aintree, we envisage lots of heavy traffic, so please leave early. So lunchtime kickoff, and we're heading from Norfolk. There's no other option.
It's the night before.
It's
Early's the night before.
That is early. It was unbelievable. So yeah.
And did you have any trouble?
No, actually, the journey was surprisingly smooth all ways. So,
uneventful.
Yeah.
A bit like the game.
Well, exactly like the game. Nice segue.
We'll come to that. Listen, it's our last visit to Goodison. I've been there a few times. I loved it because it was very reminiscent to Highbury with the four stands. It just had that kind of traditional feel to it. Atmosphere was always really good. Never had any trouble there at all. Never encountered any issues. Seen us lose there. Saw us win 6-0 or 6-1 on the opening day of the season. I even remember that Danielson scored.
Danielson's ripper, yeah.
Yeah. We thought, we've got a player there.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went on to prove that every referee could run faster than him whilst tracking back. That's my other memory of Danielson. Bless him. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the game and look ahead, we'll also look ahead to this little... What game have we got on Tuesdays? I can't remember. What's the team?
Some meaningless.
Right. We'll look ahead to that as well, obviously. But what was the whole day like? Again, without talking about the game, but you can reference the 9th minute kind of stadium acknowledgement or recognition of Super Kev and so on. What was the atmosphere like from the Toffees as well?
Yes, it during the game, actually, it was a little bit flat. There was a very end of season feel about the whole thing, but in the run up to the game, you definitely got that sense that it is a bit of a farewell. They've got 4 games remaining, I think they said, over the Tannoy, and every game will now be marked. Everton and Arsenal have been in the top flight for so long that
top 2, aren't they?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So that probably does feel like a bit of a moment that Arsenal and Everton as a fixture won't be there again.
And Arteta.
And Arteta was
adding to it
there. Kevin, as you say, Kevin Campbell. I think the classiest touch of the day, and probably what I should mention first is that. So on the 9th minute, Everton fans, different groups had organised this kind of 9-minute applause on the 9th minute to honour Kevin Campbell, who's easily the most liked, most famous player to played between the two clubs, and that was honoured, really, really well. I don't know how it came through on the telly, but that was a really popular moment.
The commentator acknowledged it as well and spoke quite at length about it, and he was jointly loved by both sets of fans. But whilst living, which is it's not just since he's died that people have become nostalgic about him. It was very much. Well, as soon as he left Arsenal, he left with... he played for Arsenal. He was a little kind of cult hero status at Arsenal. Went to Everton, became their club captain, I think. Loved by every club he played for. Whilst alive, whilst living, which is the kind of uniqueness of it, I guess, as well. So it was nice to see. And it was quite loud. It came across quite loud. I don't know about you, in the ground.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, it was really good. And even then, so we had I've been to Everton a few times and echo exactly what you said. It's a lovely little ground. The fans are great. I've seen a real mixed bag. I've only been going to away games really for the last sort of 10 years or so. So actually, we always see it as a tough place to go because there's no guarantees of a good result there. My best one would have been a 5-2 where Monreal scored. Ozil involved. We played in a black kit with a kind of red pinky trim. That was best result I've seen there.
No memory of that.
Right.
Game
well,
at
I mean,
all.
yeah, it was probably at a time when we were just sort of like bobbing around the fourth spot and not huge amount sort of riding on it. But yeah, no, it was really good. And I've had Z cars in my head because that's what they run out to. I've had that in my head all day. But there were a few people with us who'd, well, one or two for whom it was their first time.
Oh, right.
So we did a full-on lap of the ground and just walking around. There were lots of people gathered, lots of pictures being taken as kind of mementos to savour the day. And like you say, all really friendly. Sun was shining. It was a good occasion, shall we say?
And the football didn't match
No,
that because there was nothing occasion-like about the game itself. But in terms of team selection, we all got the team wrong. We all predicted the same team, and we predicted the same score. We all predicted a 1-1 draw, didn't we? So we got the scoreline right, but we didn't get anywhere near the team. And I'm pleased, for once that we didn't get the team right. He made a lot of changes. It was nice to see both White and Timber available, and that's the way round I would have played it with the view to Tuesday. I mean, clearly he picked this team with Tuesday in mind. White, Saliba, Kivior, Lewis Skelly, and then Jorginho and Marino did drop back into midfield, and Rice played, and a front three of Nwaneri, Trossard and Sterling. And that was good. And there's a very strong bench, obviously, in case we needed it. We did need it. It did nothing for us. But anyway, never mind. Who's Partey, Ødegaard, Martinelli, Saka on the bench. You'd expect those four to come into the starting lineup on Tuesday. How did the game start? Like, in the ground, were you aware of the very first 30 seconds where Pickford messed up and Trossard got the ball, and if he'd laid it off to Nwaneri, he would have had an open goal. It would have been from 35, 40 yards, but it would have been an open goal. Yeah. And he just got caught in two or three minds, and in the end it was a pass that did nothing for Nwaneri in terms of offering up an opportunity. And Everton were a bit more forward thinking than I'd anticipated they would be. They had a few kind of half chances. There was a ball whipped in and it hit that O'Brien bloke. Patterson went in really heavy on Nwaneri. Should have been a yellow card, but PGMOL don't care about potential leg breakers. So it was just a bit. We were okay. It was a very familiar story for us. We dominated possession. We weren't in any real trouble. We created a couple of half chances, but it was maybe a bit after the Lord Mayor show in terms of the build up and soaking up the atmosphere. But what was it like? What was the first half like up until Trossard's goal, which was 30 something minutes or whatever? I can't remember.
Well, kind of as you said, really, it was okay, but the pattern of play kind of quickly established in the sense that anything that Everton got going was going to be with kind of a bit more aggression, and anything we got going was going to be rather slow and ponderous in the build-up. Initially, I had sort of hopes for Sterling and the way he started. He looked to try and take people on, but then just ended up going down blind alleys. Trossard.
Well, even the goal, which he was the one, it was like he had an opportunity to go at the last defender, take him on, and Trossard then was kind of half covered, but he just dallied. Sterling dallied, and it was, look, listen, I'm probably unfairly at times jump on Trossard's back for poor performances. He took his goal extremely well. He had a lot to do from the pass. I sense you're coming in here.
Well, you normally jump on Trossard, but today I am. I tell you what, you take that finish away, and there is nothing left in that game. But look, there was a famous film director who said once that all you need to do is wow the audience in the finish, and they'll take that memory away with them. Okay, Trossard left me with a very bitter taste at the end. in all the confusion around the final whistle, with the ref not knowing how much time there was and just generally not having a handle on the game at all, Trossard kicked a player, like petulantly just booted a player in his midriff. And
Are you talking about Tarkovsky?
Well, I don't know who it was.
Because it was the free kick. He didn't touch him.
But it was more the.
It was an air kick. He didn't know. No, he did. Yeah, absolutely. It was a.
But there was that thing.
Kick out, yeah.
What you saw when we played Villa earlier on in the season with a player sulking, that's what I saw today. There was a player. Now, he might have been sulking because he felt like he was taken out by Pickford earlier in the game, but there's just this weird petulance about him and a lack of focus and an arrogance that's at the moment completely unwarranted. You know, yeah, he took his goal well today, but so what? It's like we need more. And I don't know, it just left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, and I wasn't happy with the way he performed at all, because we've got 18-year-olds in the team now who are acting more professionally and look like they, well, care more. And basically, I know you can't quantify these things, but I don't know. It's just weird. The whole performance was weird.
Yeah, I mean, I was on. The goal aside, I was on Trossard's case from minute one. Again, I react to him. If he does something good, I'll credit it, like the finish. But more often than not, he does something bad. And we have not needed him more than we have done in the last 2 months. And he hasn't scored. That was his first goal. It's not good enough for a player that has a very high opinion of his own value, clearly. Yep. And he obviously backs himself, but he needs to be better than that. And I guess if you're surrounded by the better players, you naturally, like a rising tide and all that. But you senior player, very experienced. He was the one that should have been bringing the rest of them up with him to his level, whereas
and then there's that cliche of, you know, there are players that are probably too good for the Championship but not quite good enough for the Premier League. Well, I wonder if Trossard is good enough to be the main man at a club who's kind of the upper middle of a Premier League.
Brighton.
But is he
Champions
good
League
enough
club
to step up to a Champions League club, really? No, great squad player.
Exactly, I was just going to say that. Squad player.
Because when have we praised him most? When he's come off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a shame.
He got the goal. He took it well. I didn't think. I thought first time I saw it, I thought it was a penalty. The Pickford and him. It wasn't the Pickford one. It was I think it was who was it? Branthwaite's tackle.
Right.
And I thought that's a penalty. But in the replay, he actually didn't make contact. And that might be because Trossard tried to get out of the way, in which case he should have been a little bit cuter and just welcomed or invited the challenge and taken the penalty. Not that we'd have been awarded it anyway, and VAR wouldn't have overturned it.
Mm.
All I said at half-time, look, Everton have done nothing. It's quiet. Early second goal and the game's done, because you got that sense they're not fighting for anything. They're soaking up. They're treating each game as a kind of farewell experience, and so it's a bit more emotional, but more reflective, maybe introspective, perhaps. All the memories they've had, they'll be thinking of all the previous Arsenal games they've had, because there've been quite a few, and so on. And of course, then our defending, I don't know what it looked like to you, but our defending was really sloppy. Yeah, now, Kivior got man of the match and he had a good game, but I haven't seen it again. I need to watch it again properly. Check out Match of the Day. He should have cleared the header. Now, Ryan messed up beforehand and created that bit of uncertainty, perhaps. But Kivior ducked his head, and Lewis Skelly was not expecting it. So it wasn't a case of Lewis Skelly letting it bounce. It was Kivior letting it drift over his head. Now, my reaction, I have a 4-word reaction to the penalty, and it was, no, it's not, I can't count. It was never a penalty, never being overturned. So that's a 6-word reaction to it. You just knew it. It was never a penalty, but once the referee awarded it, and you've got to ask questions about what he saw, it was never going to be overturned. But for me, it wasn't a penalty. It was like, at the point the guy fell over, there was no contact. It's like, What was the view like for you?
Right, well, so I'm going to sort of contradict because live in the ground, initial thought was soft, but I wasn't losing my head about it. I wouldn't have used the words never a penalty, because then it was one of those ones in the live thing. All we see, I think, what people were, from our viewpoint, and we're sort of right in the corner down on one side, it looked more like the Everton player maybe pulled at Miles Lewis-Skelly a little bit more, but it really looked like just a tussle, nothing one way or the other too much maybe. Since watching it, if there's a foul that Lewis-Skelly commits, there were lots of clips and things doing the rounds on people's phones on the way back. If there's a foul that Lewis-Skelly commits, that's probably outside the box. Because in the box, I'm not sure that what you can deem that to be as a foul. And what's pleasing, I suppose, because I always think, it's all well and good my reaction, because I'm an Arsenal fan. I've literally, travelled up and down the country to sort of be there. I'm always going to have a biased hat on. But the universal reaction seems to be that
never a penalty.
No one thinks that's a
no
penalty.
one. Spurs fans, no penalty.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark Goldbridge, Mark Goldbridge speaking facts
Chris
again.
On 5 Live was saying it, which we were listening to on the way back in the minibus as well.
Arteta said I've seen it 15 times and it's never a penalty. David Moyes says, I've seen it 0 times, so I can't comment.
He knows what he's doing there. I like that. That's funny. The thing I want to talk about more, in terms of the performance of the referee, was, again, just strange inconsistencies, because there was one tackle in the game where one of our players was literally just, I'd have called it a playground thing, where he was legged up. He wasn't tripped up, he was legged up. And you just thought, well, that's a yellow card all day long, and it wasn't. There was a thing where a lot of people have been saying, well, Everton should have been reprimanded for trying to block David Raya. Well, I would say to that is, that would have been reprimanded, but the ref's not even looking at it. There was a moment at one point in the second half, it would have been, when Raya's gone to kick the ball out, and their player, whoever
Jake O'Brien, same guy every time.
So Jake O'Brien. Well, he's gone to block the ball. Ref's not even looking.
Yeah, no.
Ref wasn't even looking at the incident. So he's not aware. And whether he's just hoping his official is... Well, it's weird.
I know the one you're talking about, and the commentator said he wasn't, and I could see on the telly, he's not even looking. But they showed a replay. It's worse than that. And the commentator said this. The commentator kind of backed himself, or walks himself down an alley, really, because he'd spent quite an amount of time saying referee wasn't even, he was saying, oh, look, he's blocked the ball. That's a free, it should be an indirect free kick or a yellow card or something like that for Jake O'Brien for blocking David Raya. But the commentator was saying, but the referee had his back turned, wasn't even looking. And then about 30 seconds, a minute later, they showed a replay of it. The referee was looking.
Really?
He'd seen it, yeah. And so the commentator had to comment on that because it was clear. So he said, well, it's even worse. He looked at it, saw it, and saw nothing wrong with it. And so, because it did look for all the world that he turned his back on it as the only, which is negligent in one sense, but then to actually see it,
oh, wow,
and not do anything about it, I don't understand. It's like one of the Spurs fans that pops up on the For You page on TikTok, he was saying that all common sense, Lukiyama, I think he's quite a sensible chap, actually. Yeah. And he was saying that, like, he fears that all common sense is gone from the referees, and he puts it down to the incredible scrutiny they're under. They know that, like, every angle's covered, and they're freezing.
Yeah.
They're not relaxing into the game. Now the penalty award, Darren England's on VAR. If that's familiar to you, he was also the VAR for the Lewis-Skelly Wolves sending off. So it's like I'm not buying into conspiracy. They're just crap.
They're just not very good.
It's
so then my other instances were things like, I mean, because I also want to talk about some instances that favour us. Our time wasting on throw-ins was literally horrendous. It took so long.
Is that what the Everton fans were getting up in arms about? Because there was lots of booing going on.
There was a bit about you know how players will try and encroach a few yards here and there. So we were doing that as well. But for me, we were taking so long to take a throw. And just how long it takes to take a free kick and corner now is just absurd. And one of the first instances where the ref was noticeable was a lot of tussling going on in the penalty area, as you see all the time. And this isn't just an incident in this game. This is in all games. And again, it's that thing of rather than... I think because the ball's dead, they intervene.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, you'd rather let them take the corner. And I don't care if this is Arsenal players tussling, conceding a corner or whatever. And then if there's a load of tussling, just blow the whistle and give a foul, whichever way. I don't care. The game needs to speed up.
They'd soon stop that tussling if there was a couple of penalties awarded.
It takes about 2 or 3 minutes to take a free kick because of the setting of the wall and this, that and the other. No one's allowed to take a free kick anymore, it seems. It's ridiculous. Everton tried to take one. He made them bring it back. We tried to take one. He said it wasn't in the right place, even though we were further back towards our own goal. I mean... You can see it both sides.
It's pedantic, isn't it?
That's the key word. It's pedantic about the little administrative things rather than what's best, what's serving the game best. And it was very. And then, I mean, look, we play into it because of our slow thing. Everything has to be very deliberate. But I do think that's playing into our inability to create. We didn't create enough, and it was only really Martinelli and Skelly in the second half who were trying to...
Can we talk about that Lewis Skelly run? That was just ridiculous.
Messi. Wow.
Oh my God. I was like, come on, if he scores this, I might have to get up and run around the room.
I mean, yeah, it was a great run. But again, it's a sign of a player going, well, I'm just going to take it on. Because the passing sideways and the slow build-up's not really doing anything, and he backs himself so much.
And he's such an athlete, such a physical specimen. He's so strong. He's 18. It's ridiculous.
It's that thing of we'd use this phrase all the time with Messi about low centre of gravity and balance. Well, Skelly's got a little bit of that. I feel like I'm comparing him to Messi, and I really shouldn't do that. But it just, I mean, in the way he approaches...
Dembele at Spurs is the. I keep going to that. You couldn't get the ball off him.
Yeah, exactly.
He looked like he was going to lose it, and he's kept it.
I did think that this season's fine, but next season he's got to move into midfield at some point. He played most of today in midfield anyway, so. There'll be a point where if we can get the left-back position a bit more consistent...
Well, there's rumours the Ajax left-back... We're actually going to buy another left-back.
Hato?
Yeah, Hato, yeah. And we were linked with him last season as a centre-back. But he's like... And Arteta does love a centre-back come left-back, doesn't he?
Well, there's an argument to say that Kivior can't hang around for the handful of appearances that he gets, so he's... going to want to go. He's too good
to play that bitter part in the team. Yeah,
getting a young replacement would make sense. Calafiori's knee is a concern. Tomiyasu, I mean, he can't factor him in anymore. Tierney's clearly off because he's got a pre-contract agreement with Celtic. Zinchenko, who knows? But if there's a fee involved, chances are he's probably going to go. So, as much as striker is still number one priority, there might be movement for someone like this Hato kid, and that there would be a logic to that.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying? I interrupted you with the Hato thing.
We were talking about Skelly and
Skelly, yes.
Well, just because of the slowness of the game and the build up, and you said about sloppy defence. Well, I mean, Ben White made 2 or 3 errors, but they're the kind of errors that a player makes after so long.
He's been out for a season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was almost like. We also got the sense there were a couple of blocks he put in, and he celebrated them in a very Gabriel way. And I wondered if that was a way of him trying to
get
almost,
up, yeah.
As the kids would say now, lock in and get that focus that he needs, G himself up, because that concentration. He might be fit enough to play, but he's not clearly sharp enough to play.
But he is still better than Timber offensively. Timber is a better defender. He's more specialist in that position, I guess. But Ben White has a more, I don't know what's the word, not proactive, progressive attitude to the football, to the right back position. He's more offensive, definitely. And when he's fully fit, he can back himself to recover and get back in position again. But so I would say against teams who are going to sit deep, Ben White's a better option at right back, fully fit. But against Real Madrid, for example, yes, absolutely. Against the Real Madrid, for example, I think Urian Timber would be a better fit, especially when you've got someone like Vinicius Junior
clearly
coming at you. On a few stats, our XG was 1.85 for the game. Theirs was 1.05. We had 14 shots, 5 on target. They had 5 shots, 2 on target. We dominated the game. But during the game, myself and Chris, and I'm sorry he's not on I'm not sure I fully understood what he was saying, but it seemed, and Chris, you can shout at me later if I misrepresent you, but he was frustrated at the number of draws we've had this season. But he was putting, I think, the blame on our inability to see the game out. So to close the game up when we take a 1-goal lead. I'm putting it onto the fact that we haven't got a clinical striker.
Getting that second goal.
Yes, absolutely. And so I looked at Chris, sorry if I'm misrepresenting you, but that was my take on it. Was like, if we had it, we wouldn't be worried about closing the game out if we've got that second goal. Now, I've just gone back over, I've got a few things written down. So since the 1st of January, we've only won 2 games by more than 1 goal. This is the Premier League. I'm talking about the Premier League. Because a 7-1 thrashing and BSV kind of skews things somewhat. But so Premier League only, in 13 matches, there's only 2 games that we've won by more than 2 goals, or more than a goal. Could you know which games they are? Can you think of them?
Man City 5-1.
Yeah. And the game, I think, was on the 1st of January.
Oh, who did we play on New Year's?
So since the 2nd of January, it's 1 game we've won by more than 1 goal.
Play
London Derby. Yeah, go on.
London Derby.
I think I've written down Brentford 3-1. We beat Brentford 3-1.
Oh yes, sorry. Yeah,
right.
Their place.
So that's it. Now, and I was thinking, okay, so if we'd scored that next goal or given ourselves a 2-goal deficit, then we'd have maybe won more games. I looked at Chris's viewpoint, saying, so which games have we conceded? Have we dropped points in by conceding a lead, if you like? We were 2-0 up at home to Villa, and we came back to 2-2. That was criminal.
United in the cup, although
just the Premier League, just the Premier League. So there were only 2 other games in that run. We were 1 up at Brighton, very, very soft penalty. And we were 1 up today.
Very, very soft.
Very,
penalty.
very soft penalty. So,
I would argue that the Saliba penalty,
was worse.
You'd never see again.
Yeah.
I could if you apply the law, all that letter of the law nonsense. Then I could maybe, but
look, you said live in the game you thought it was a penalty. So the referee's seeing he's closer to it, obviously, but he's live in the game. And once it was given, I don't think it was ever going to be...
That was the thing that worried us. That what I turned to my pal George, who was there, who I know listens. Hello, George. I turned to him and I said, problem now is the ref set a bar higher, really, to overturn it. It would need to be an egregious error to be overturned. Anything in that grey area is just going to be left as it is. Whereas, and vice versa is probably true as well. But he's made the decision, so that's frustrating.
For me, still on the statistics this year, it's not our inability to see a game out; it's our inability to get a cushion, a second goal.
Yeah.
We miss so many. I mean, Chris himself has. I mean, every game he WhatsApps the group.
We'll rue these missed chances.
Yeah, within 10, 15, we'll rue these missed chances. What's the other thing I've written down? Since beating Leicester 2-0 on the 15th of February, so in 6 games, we've only scored more than 1 goal once.
Yeah, no.
So, I mean, that's
really poor.
It's terrible.
And
we had 14 shots, 5 on target.
We have a lot of strikers out and forwards.
Generally. Yeah. Yeah, but although this is a problem that we've been talking about since the beginning of last season, at least.
We've been talking about for 2 or 3 years.
But looking at the last 6 games, though, I've only scored 1 goal, or no more than 1 goal in any of these games. West Ham at home, Forest away, United away, Chelsea home, Everton away. None of those teams are pulling up trees. None of those teams you would say have an amazing defensive record, Nottingham Forest aside. Yeah. So if we're struggling to score more than 1 goal against those teams,
that's the problem.
You leave. I mean, look, it's everyone. It's clear as day for everyone to see. It's a lack of a clinical finisher. You know, it's.
Well, that's what
Martinelli.
I thought today, like we had those 5 shots on target. Would you were any of the saves that spectacular from Pickford?
Well, Martinelli, I think he did really well today. I mean, I like this iteration of Martinelli really quite a lot. The last 2 games, so more of the same, please. Marino's header. For me, the biggest disappointment was Ødegaard. The cutback, I can't remember who it was from, but the cutback was decent, and it was on his left foot, and he kind of scuffed it onto his standing foot, and it just went out wide. And I'm like, an Ødegaard on form, he gets it on target, but he buries it. Yeah. Like it's the sweet spot for him. It's the goal. You know, Saka's got a copyright goal. That's Ødegaard's slotting in. I know he was a little bit wider, but he was closer in. But you know, getting onto the end of a cutback left foot. I mean, I really hope that we get Ødegaard last season back for next season. Well, back for Tuesday would be really good. I mean, I don't know how realistic that is to flick a switch on and off, but I mean, it's a tired and wearied debate. Well, it's not even a debate. It's like an echo chamber where we know the problem, and we will do a pod on players linked to us. It's potentially quite an exciting summer. I know how much you love to talk transfers, but we won't.
After the season ticket renewals are done.
300 million, Big Berta, he's got to spend it. You're not having it?
I'm not convinced, funnily enough.
Okay, right. Anything else to say about the Everton game itself?
Only that there was, like you say, a sort of end of season feel. There was also a feel that all the substitutions felt pre-planned.
Yes, yeah.
It felt like today was just about training for Tuesday, and
completely.
Funnily enough, I think Tuesday's game is so big that actually there will be a little bit of forgiving treating this game this way. No one likes to, look too far ahead, but, only people who have a ridiculous well
agenda.
of optimism and
or
hope.
No,
I'm thinking of would still think there was much of a chance in the league. They'd have to have ridiculous.
Can I just say at this point, if you haven't, anybody watching or listening, seen the Paddy Power video, the latest Paddy Power trolling effort, it is a thing of beauty. But when you're watching it, you must watch it to the end.
Watch to the end.
Okay,
yeah, very good.
It is brilliant. Like it really is. Whoever creates these Paddy, whatever mind comes up with these Paddy Power. I don't know what they call them, trolling adverts. I don't know what they call pieces of cinema.
They're comedy sketches.
Yeah, sketches.
Really,
they are.
They?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry,
but Tuesday is so big because no domestic cups, the league all but done, and so you're playing Real Madrid home and away in a Champions League quarter-final. Who wouldn't, favour that? And actually, then as we're driving home, listening to Villa play Forest, and this is a Villa who are still in the FA Cup, going to the semi-final, are still pushing for those Champions League spots in the league, and have their own quarter-final in the Champions League against PSG. Emery makes 8 changes, because despite being in the FA Cup semi-final, and despite going for Champions League places, that's still massive. But, again, they've recruited in January, they've pepped up their team.
just on Villa, their need in the league is now greater than ours to win a game in the Premier League. So we because of the Villa's result today, we've actually increased our comfort zone in second place over Forest at least. It gives City and Chelsea and Newcastle a chance to close a gap a little bit, but I think we're okay in that sense for Champions League qualification, top 5, but Villa are not. And so that was a massive win for them today. But I did write down something. Villa also beat Brighton 3-0 away during the week, didn't they? And all 3 of their goal scorers were signed in January. And that's Marlon, who was on the books at Arsenal, wasn't he? Scored one. He scored today as well. Asensio, who's been really good, and he was the one that we wanted, that I would have taken. I would have taken Rashford as well, but we couldn't because we were hamstrung by the Premier League loans rule. But they knew they needed reinforcements, and they did something about it, and we decided not to, and this is why we are where we are. I just hope, looking ahead to Madrid, that we're not too much in awe of them because of their history in the Champions League. I hope, and I'm sure he is. I hope Arteta is showing them Real Madrid's game today.
Right. Are we moving fully on to Madrid preview?
I think, because I've mentioned the Villa one. The only other thing I wanted to say, but I'll leave just 2 more things. Remind me, I'll add them in at the end. Yeah, so Real Madrid Tuesday. I looked at their team today. It was a full strength team.
Right. So I saw the lineup, but I didn't do any sort of reading around it because signal's not always.
Courtois injured.
Right. So that's exactly what I was going to ask. Right. The one that glaring thing was Courtois. Yeah. I knew they had some defenders injured,
but he's rated hopeful for Tuesday. Yeah. So their team, I wrote down that the big hitters: Mbappe, Vinicius, Bellingham, Valverde, Modric, Tchouaméni, and Rudiger, and Camavinga came on. I can't. Who's in that team? That's Ceballos is injured, but he's not. Yeah. But he does start. He does he's a regular. Yeah. And this was a big game. This was home against Valencia, and now they are 3 points behind Barcelona at the top, and Barcelona have a game in hand. So that was they needed to win. So they are, and this is maybe a made up word, but they are get-atable. I think you know what I mean.
Yeah,
get-atable.
Yeah. And like you say, if it's only for the psycho, look, again, there will be some Arsenal fans who are going, see, we can beat them. Look, no one's getting too carried away. They still carry way more of a threat going forward than we do at the moment. But we've shown that we can defend well. And Valencia are a team, I didn't realise quite how low they are. They're in the equivalent of the Man United, Spurs, sort of West Ham part of the league, but in Spain. And so, yeah, if only to psychologically say, okay, we need to show them respect, but we've got to make them respect us as well, then why not? Because it could have been, with 2 points dropped today, if they'd gone and smashed Valencia 5-0, a few people would have been very dejected by the whole thing. But no, we've got to remind ourselves we have to approach this game like we expect to get through. And I'm sure the players will adopt that approach. But we can't sell ourselves short. We can't be arrogant and cocky about it. I mean, I agree. It's not. I don't know an Arsenal fan who's saying, no, this is going to be easy. Watch us. It's more like, and that's why, you said earlier about as good as White is going forward, Timber's the better defender, so he's probably going to be the option. So those little choices you can make in the team will be enough to show the respect, but those players will then also hopefully provide a platform for the other players to go forward, and you never know.
I know, I'm just really, really gutted that Gabriel is out.
That's the one.
That's...
Well, that's the one of many.
Kivior, demonstrated a skill that Gabriel does not have, and that's the pinging a 40, 50-yard pass to kind of put... And if there's a pass that's going to undo Real Madrid, that's the one, because they will come at us. And so the turnover was going to be quite important. And he does switch it quite quickly.
Do you remember Spurs away last season?
Is that the 3-2 game, 3-0 half-time?
Game. So we're 3-0 up at half-time, and there was a Saka goal where basically there was a long ball over the top, which he then controlled, jinked around a little bit, and put a couple of Spurs players on their arse and scored. You know, it's that sort of goal, that pattern of play that Kivior could provide and Saka could deliver. A goal like that, though, always reminds me of Bergkamp at the World Cup. The ball over the shoulder, control, defender goes off, cuts back, slots it. Oh, my days.
It was the context for that. Like, it was the last minute.
Oh, it's so good.
That was at World Cup quarter-final, Argentina.
Yeah.
And he did similar at Leicester.
Yes.
In his hat-trick game at Leicester, he did a very similar goal there as well. But, Then I'll start pining for days of yore now.
Well, I saw a hilarious thing online, which was... someone posted the statistic that Rashford now has more Premier League goals than Dennis Bergkamp, with the quote, and they built one of these a statue. And it's like, no. you misunderstand football.
Yes, completely. Completely. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Who's going to build Rashford a statue? It won't be United. So...
Nope. Might be Villa if he wins them the Champions League.
Right. You're going. Chris didn't reply to me. I wonder, is Chris going to the game on Tuesday?
He didn't reply. I don't know.
So you're going.
I am bloody going. It's Easter holidays. I will be there with bells on.
I've messed up.
Yes, you have.
Both home and away.
Yep.
But Michael's going. Good luck, Michael.
Hey,
Sing
Mike.
your heart out
See
for
you
the
there.
boys. How's your team? How's your team looking?
Very predictable, given who's available. So Raya in goal is obvious. Back for Timber, Saliba, Kivior, Lewis Skelly, for all the reasons we've already sort of spoken about. Midfield 3 for me is Odegaard, Partey, Rice, and then a front 3 of Saka, Marino and Martinelli. So for my explanation, Partey comes back in because Jorginho just doesn't have the legs. Rice, I would hope, would be defensive when he needs to, but he can be a little bit more all-action if Partey's there to cover him. Odegaard, Saka and Martinelli come back in because they just are way more creative. Martinelli, like you say, is all of a sudden come back from injury and looks like bored.
Looks Brazilian.
And he looks Brazilian again, yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? Marino's playing really well. He's trying really hard. Like, he is another... I think he could become a bit of a cult hero. We know he's not, the world's greatest player in the world, but we didn't think that of Kai Havertz for a while. And he's had this is Marino I'm talking about. He's had a very interrupted season. He's playing in an unfamiliar position. He literally bled for the club today. No, look, he starts up front. He gives us the shape. He gives us some hold-up play and some tenacity. He's going to win us some duels. And I
think he won 14 today.
Ah, wicked. Okay, love it. Yeah, he's great.
Did we get points for that?
No. But, yeah, that's the team.
I'm looking at Chris's team. He's gone for exactly the same lineup. He said a solid 4-2-3-1 double pivot.
Yeah, I noticed he put Partey and Rice very much as a 4-2-3-1, which we don't really play like, but I know what he means. Rice will cover where needed. Yeah. And
unsurprisingly, but for the second week running, we've all got the same starting 11.
No, well, yes. Although you put lots of caveats.
I had lots of caveats last time. Speaking of caveats, you have forewarned me that you're going to offer several caveats for your predicted scoreline.
Not necessarily caveats for why I'm predicting the score I'm predicting, because I messaged you when I was sort of driving home and we were arranging when we were going to do this. I said, can I not make a prediction? I'm in a headspace at the moment where I am so looking forward to these games as an occasion and as a thing to do that I don't want to think of it as someone who does this and predicts and talks about it. I just want to go and experience it. But you said no, I have to make a prediction. And the problem is.
Shall I help you by telling everyone what Chris's prediction is?
Well, yeah, go on.
He's predicted us to lose 1-0.
Yeah.
Does that help you?
Well, I mean, no, but I have to go in with it. And remember, this is a prediction of what I think the score will be, given the current teams and who's available and all those sorts of things, and not because it's at all what I want.
Caveat.
Yeah, Madrid 2-0.
Madrid 2-0. Oh my God, why are you even going?
Because I'm Arsenal. Because I've just got back from bloody Liverpool, where went all that way up at 5 o'clock this morning, and got the result you predicted. In fairness, we all predicted 1-1, bizarrely. Exactly. I did have someone on the minibus with us who sort of looked at me after the game and went, "You all predicted that on the podcast." It's like, it's not my fault. That it was so predictable.
Okay,
I'm just glad we've all predicted different things, so that means it's all a bit more up in the air.
Well, you don't know my prediction yet.
Yeah, but me and Chris, as long as me and Chris have predicted differently, that's enough.
Okay, I've actually gone for a 1-1 draw.
Okay, yeah.
Simply because we can't score more than one.
Well, this was my thing. I just worry that we're never going to score more than one goal in a game ever again, and I can just don't know. Just what I really want. Sorry,
yeah.
But
go on.
Next week I'm actually going to Madrid, to the Bernabeu.
Still be in it. Yeah.
I want to still be in it.
2-0 is not still in it.
And I don't want. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
That is more.
Oh, come. All right. Okay.
I want to be in it more than PSV were in it.
Yeah, fine. Okay, that's a low bar, high bar, whatever that is. If we lose 2-0 on Tuesday, you're not going to Madrid expecting anything footballing-wise. Yeah. You're going there for the experience of travelling to Madrid.
Well, I'm going there
for
anyway for the experience and all that kind of stuff.
So I've said all along, provided we either go there with a lead, level, or within one goal. Any of those three things happen, then we're still in it. Yeah. If we've got a 2-goal deficit, there's not a hope in hell of us overturning that at the Bernabeu. I just hope that we're not somehow awed by their aura.
No, yeah. Well, that's how so many teams have befallen them.
Yes,
before.
Absolutely. That's my issue. Yeah. I don't want us to, and that's why I want Arteta to focus on the Valencia game. Yeah. Didn't they draw 4-4 in a cup game during the week?
With Sociedad, second leg. Right. And they only got through because they won the first game 1-0, which is hardly a rousing, endorsement.
Mm. So again, I would be more confident. I'd probably still predict a 1-1 draw. I don't, I know there's no such thing as away goals anymore. But even with Gabriel playing, it's like, come on. I could have really. It's a bit like the Saliba injury 2 seasons ago. It's how I feel. It's like, do you know what? I think we were in with a chance with Gabriel. We shouldn't underestimate ourselves. We are. With all the injuries we've had and the dodgy decisions we've had and the 5 games we've been down to 10 men, we are still comfortably in second place in a very, very difficult league. Sitting above City and Chelsea and Newcastle and United and Spurs and
it's all about
let's not sell ourselves short. And Real Madrid are not invincible, clearly. Right? They just lost today. Yeah. So I would just be a lot more confident that we wouldn't be awed by their aura if Gabriel was playing. But he's not. So, and Kivior did well today, bar that, for me, one issue, which did unfortunately lead to a goal. And that seems to be the way with us. We make one mistake and it costs us a goal. Yeah. It seems a bit unfair or unsustainable to lose.
Feels hard
for that to keep happening, and maybe that's just our perception because we're Arsenal fans, and we look at Arsenal all the time, and we have no idea what other clubs are.
Yeah, but the team we support. Oh, crazy.
Yeah. Right. So, okay. I look forward to the Tuesday. Obviously, it's on Prime. I think for those who aren't going to the game, it's in England. It's on Prime.
I'm going, so I'll have to watch it live in the flesh.
For your 2-0 defeat, you freaking idiot.
There's lots of things going on. The Ashburton Army are doing a march to the stadium from the Eaglet pub. I want to say from 7, but I'm not sure on that without looking it up. There's a I think whole stadium tifo that's planned. There will be something in the seat of all people there to hold up.
This makes me nervous.
Just as they're coming out. Look,
this makes me nervous.
Right, yeah, you can make you nervous. They're always going to do it for a Champions League quarter-final. Like,
it's the Americanization of the sport as well. And I tell you why it makes me nervous, because it makes me remember Man United in the Champions League semi-final. And the game was over after 7 minutes.
But we do this for all the...
But we had nice flags.
Well, yeah, but...
I think, yeah, I know, I'm sure Real Madrid will do something similar when we go to their grounds. You know, concentrate on the football. Let's... You know,
yeah, but the players
don't build it up
will
too much.
concentrate on the football, and we need to concentrate on bringing it. Because let's face it, last few games has been really flat. So it's a way of trying to engage the crowd.
This will not be flat.
This will not be flat. And part of it is building this excitement. So fans are already talking about, okay, there'll be a tifo, you've got to be in your seat, ready to go, and blah, blah, blah. So actually that's part of creating that buzz, I think. So you just have to look at it. Look, that Man United one was traumatic, and we know you've got a deep-seated Freudian kind of thing that you need to work out with Man United.
No, there's no way. That's beyond
or cut
help.
those ties, move beyond. Yeah.
That is beyond help. That is. I don't want to go back to that dark place.
But ultimately, yeah, it's about trying to create that buzz so that we do bring it no matter what. And I'm sure we don't need really telling that. But actually, right, so here's the thing. Let's say today, the Gabriel injury was a sucker punch enough that seemed to deflate the season a little bit, as the West Ham defeat did to the league run and all those sorts of things. Let's say we'd lost another important player today. I didn't mention it at the time, but in the Everton game, Saka had come on at half-time and then sort of went up for a ball, came down, and then seemed to be holding his knee/hamstring for a bit. Let's say he'd limped off. All of a sudden, you know, we go into that game, and let's say there's no buzz about, you know, Ashburton Army marches or tifo in the ground and this, that, and the other. People would just be like, well, there's no hope. You know, and it's might
take the pressure off.
Yeah, maybe, but ultimately at the same time, we know, because the team and the players have told us they like feeding off our energy. Hence that we've complained a little bit at the waving of the arms quite early in the game, and especially by David Raya, just seems a bit weird, but. They clearly feed off it, so we need to bring it as much as they do as well.
And we've got a fantastic record against the other so-called Big Six.
Yeah. Arteta's made us pretty good at making sure we are
playing the bigger games,
competitive in those games. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the one thing we've always said was it's the low blocks. Clive Palmer said it on the Arsenal Vision podcast. It's not the Man Cities and the Chelsea games he worries about now. Not even Chelsea, is it? It's Liverpool. He says it's
Fulham.
It's Fulham.
West Ham.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's a different way to approach the game. Well, Real Madrid are not going to be like that, are they? So bring it on. Tuesday, Real Madrid at home.
Where's the Champions League final? Is it Bayern Munich? And is it May half term?
Oh yeah. Are we thinking little North Bank?
Oh no, I've already booked it.
North Bank road trip.
I haven't booked it.
I won't be able to get a ticket for that, I don't think.
Yeah, sorry, Michael. I'm stepping in for the final. Fair weather. Having said that, I've got a terrible European finals record. So,
you do, yes.
So I might. I don't know.
It's all right. I'll go in your place.
I don't think I could live with myself if we actually won the one I didn't go to. after having lost all the ones I did go to.
I could live with that.
So I'd take one for the team. I didn't go to the Chelsea FA Cup final for that reason.
I'd just like to say to any listeners, if you'd like to donate to Holly stepping away, Holly will take. Yeah, well, it's not. I don't want it. You take the money. I'll take the ticket.
Okay, right.
We've got to get.
I'll take the money. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Absolutely. Right. Okay. Let's leave Madrid there. I've got two other little things. First of all, Max Dowman scored a hat-trick for the under-18s today and got an assist in a 5-3 win. I can't remember who against. Might be Leicester. Might be Leicester. Might be Norwich. I'm not sure. No, he's 15. He's 15.
He will play next season.
He's clearly too good for under-18. He scored 3, set up 1 in a 5-3 victory. That's something. And since we last recorded, I think we have officially had St. Totteringham's Day, haven't we?
Yay! St. Totteringham's
Day. I've got a couple of stats on that.
Can I just share one? So on our Blue Sky account, which has logged me out now. So I posted, obviously, something, as every single Arsenal fan did, about St. Totteringham's Day. And then, literally, almost on the final whistle today of the Everton game, a Tottenham fan replied to it saying, well, maybe you celebrated St. Totteringham's Day a bit too hard, you bottlers. And I just think, I mean...
Did you just cup your ear at him?
I cupped my ear at him like that to listen to his tears as they fell slowly. I mean, I don't know if you're not happy being second in the league compared to whatever's going on up at Spurs. I don't know. Right, tell me stats. St. Tottenham.
Just on it's the earliest St. Totteringham's Day since 2008, and it's the top 10 earliest of all time.
Wow. All time?
All time. How shit must their season be?
That is pretty rubbish.
If we're bottling it,
yes.
Like, what the hell? Are you even in the same league as us next season?
What's the opposite of bottle? Or what's the most extreme of bottling? Spursy. You're having a Spursy season.
We've already got an adjective for that. They're having a Spursy season. And I think the last thing I want to say is I've worn red today because I want to see if that helps enhance my blue aura. Just for those who aren't aware, I'm copping a few interesting comments about how I seem to be podding from my grave. And why is he so blue?
You are blue. You are very pale and blue.
I'm like this normally.
Get some vitamin D.
My nickname's Papa Smurf, so... Anyway, right. Anything else? We done?
No, we're all good. See you Tuesday.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Okay. Cheers for that. Cheers for listening. Cheers for watching. Yeah. Don't look at the clock too much over the next 72 hours. It will come around quick enough and we'll be watching from wherever we are, not in the ground this time, unfortunately, for most of us probably. But anyway, enjoy the next few days. Enjoy the Madrid game. And we will catch up to look back on a narrow but satisfying lead that we'll be taking into the Bernabeu. And on that note, I shall say goodbye, good night.
See ya.
The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app and find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at NorthBankPod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by The Podcast Company.